Dai maestri della nutrizione, Monge Natural Super Premium, crocchette con la carne come primo ingrediente e prebiotici per il benessere intestinale. Ricette con superfood e carne fresca per un'altissima appetibilità. Monge, la famiglia italiana del pet food. Dai maestri della nutrizione, Monge Natural Super Premium, crocchette con la carne come primo ingrediente e prebiotici per il benessere intestinale. Ricette con superfood e carne fresca per un'altissima appetibilità. Monge, la famiglia italiana del pet food.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Talking Dogs with Ante. First of all, let me thank to our sponsor tonight, that's Monge, and let me say how happy I am that at the end Beltran managed to connect somehow the video and the music, because when we have put this video from 1976 from YouTube, there was no sound, but then he took the song from another source, and he managed to put it all together. And like there are so many comments of people writing, "Oh, we are dancing and enjoying," and I'm so happy, because I was thinking this is like a perfect way to start tonight's interview, because my guest tonight is definitely a celebrity, but not only in the dog world, but also outside of the dog world. And I think that there is no person in the world who doesn't know this song. So it's, I don't know how you say it. My English is not so good to say. It's more than an honor for me to welcome my guest tonight, Chris Amoo. Chris, welcome to Talking Dogs with Ante, and thank you so much for taking your time to be with us tonight.
No problem, Auntie. It's great to be here.
Yeah.
Now, if you'd have had a problem with the sound, I'd have sung it for you anyway, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, okay.
You're covered. You're well covered, let me tell you.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we have managed, and because people were like seeing the video and they were saying like, "Oh, there is no sound," but then when the sound went on, everybody started to write, "Oh, brings back beautiful memories. We are all dancing," and so on. So obviously, I told you, I said to Chris before we started, I said we didn't say one word, and there are already 80 comments. So I'm not going to manage to cover all of them, but I'm sure that Chris is as happy as I am that people from all around the world are watching. Tonight I have seen Michael Canalese and Ramon Podesta, other famous Afghan breeders, Andrew Brace, of course, Anna Sabo, and many others are watching and writing very nice things. I will try to read you some of them. I'm sure you will be happy to hear. But let's start first with the story and with why we are here tonight. Obviously, the show is called Talking Dogs with Ante, and our priority will be dogs. But of course, we cannot, ignore the fact that you are a superstar in the music world, and I want to know a little bit about that part of your life.
Okay.
I have been. You sent me by post the DVD, the documentary, everything, the real thing story. It didn't arrive, but I have managed to find it today online, and I was extremely impressed, because, as I said to you before we started, from outside we all see this glamour and concerts and hits and everything, but that gave me completely another perspective of your life and of your success. So share with us a little bit about your life in the music world.
Well, I always knew that from a very young age that this is what I was going to do. I'm talking 12, 13. I always knew that the hard life, going out to work every day, was not for me.
Okay.
I chose the easy life, or I thought what was the easy life, in music. So I always knew that I wanted to do that. And from a very early age, I used to go to the youth clubs, and that's where I met Dave, my co-partner in the real thing. And basically, what we started doing was singing along with all the Tamla Motown records, all the Black American records, like sort of the Temptations, the Four Tops, all of them, And at first, we used to do it just for fun, because that's what we enjoyed doing, And when we got to about 15, 16, we decided, because I had a brother, Eddie, who was already in a group working professionally, that this is what we really wanted to do. So we started taking it more seriously, and we started to rehearse and learned how to harmonize. And basically, it just went from there. we met an agent in Liverpool who started getting us work at all the youth clubs and things like that. Look, and all we wanted to do, we didn't care about records. We just wanted to get up on stage and sing and have the girls screaming after us. That's
yeah,
that's
that was the goal.
Blow the records, blow the money. We just
Yeah.
wanted to get on that stage. At that point, I wasn't a lead singer at all. All I wanted to do was stand behind the lead singer, you know, and just be up there. And we did a program. Moving on a bit, we did a program in England called Opportunity Knocks, and that was
1972, if I'm correct.
I don't like to sort of remember.
Okay, okay. It was
probably right.
1992 when you were 16.
You're probably right. 1972. All right. And we won it, and it was a huge show in England. I mean, it had millions of viewers, and that particular show then allowed us to turn professional. In other words, to do it professionally and to do it nationally. So we were sort of like working all around the country then. We met, because of that, we met our manager, who was our manager till he died a couple of years ago, Tony Hall. And he just took us to heights that we never imagined, you know. And if you really want me to go into it, it's a long story, but we went to the usual thing. We were doing a lot of records that weren't happening, but like I said, we weren't really that bothered. And then a guy walks into the office one day when I was in there with our manager, and we'd just been turned down by a prominent songwriter who was writing a lot of hits at the time. We'd been turned down because he said that we didn't have a lead singer. So I was quite miffed. I was miffed because by then I was doing most of the damn leads. So what he was saying was that I was a load of crap. But there you go. And it was only about 2 days later, this guy comes into the office, and he's sort of a young Jewish guy called Ken Gold. And he played us a song. And me and our manager looked at each other and we thought, that is a hit record. You know, when something just, you listen to it and you go, wow.
Is that the same? Is that the same when you see a dog and you say, okay, that's it? Is it similar?
Well, in a way it is, because when you see a dog and you realize how good it is, you normally know a little bit about dogs.
Okay.
Right? But because we'd never experienced a hit record, our manager had, I hadn't. It was like sort of quite breathtaking to have this guy walk in with a song. Anyway, we had the song signed, sealed, delivered before he left the office. And we went to our record company, who didn't like it, but our manager insisted that we recorded it. We had it recorded within a week, and it was number one within 2 months of recording it. It was number one.
Amazing. And it is fair to say that actually that song changed your life.
Well, I was living in London at the time, footloose and fancy free, and basically I didn't have the money to get into town. I was staying in Hampstead. I didn't have the money to get into Carnaby Street, which was where our office was. So I had to walked in. And as I was walking in, I was going to all these little boroughs. And out of all the boutiques, our record was playing. It was playing. Yeah. Our manager had phoned me that morning and said, look, you've come into church, you've got Top of the Pops. You better come into the office. So I walked into the office, and the first thing I did is I borrowed some money off him.
Okay.
I went into Bond Street and bought a hat. The place in Bond Street where they make proper hats. And I bought a hat, and my mother used to make all our stage clothes at the time, but I couldn't get back to Liverpool. So basically, Eddie, Ray and Dave went to my mum's. She took them into town. They picked the material for our suits. I told her what I wanted. She had to make them overnight. They came down to Top of the Pops the next morning in London. I met them there, and I didn't put that suit on until wardrobe, and I put it on, and it fitted like a glove.
That's great.
And so to me, basically, it changed our life. It sort of, well, it changed our lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'd arrived. Everybody knew us in the country and around Europe and things. And yeah, it's been a long haul since then. We're still,
Yeah, but you said we cannot talk about years, so I'm not going to say
how many.
But I mean,
many.
Yeah, I must say, and I said to you before we started, there is this documentary called "Everything: The Real Thing Story," and I was really, really impressed. When after I saw it, I was thinking like, it was such a amazing life that you had, and like, and then to connect that also with what you have done in dogs, it's just something amazing. But anyhow, I'm really happy that you shared this a small part of the story, because obviously there is so much. And of course, you know well Andrew Brace, and I know him well. Of course, what will be his comment? It will be, please ask Chris to tell the story of the Beatles acting as a backing group. That's typical Andrew. Yeah. So if you want, you can share that story with us also.
Okay, well, my brother, Eddie, was in a band called Chance at the time. Eddie was a lot older than me. And so, like I said before, he had a group together and was doing it professionally, which is where I got my inspiration from. And that's where I got my sort of knowledge that we could definitely have a life in the music business. And when they were a young, raw group, like what we were, they went to a Little Richard concert. And at the Little Richard concert was the Beatles. The Beatles were there. In fact, they were supporting Little Richard at the time. And they met Paul and John and they said to him, well, we've heard of you, because there was the Merseybeat sound at the time, the Merseybeat era. Why don't you come into the cabin tomorrow and let us hear you sing? Well, they only sung a cappella. They were an a cappella band. So they went to the cabin the next day. And Paul and John came in and listened to them and were actually absolutely knocked out, because they used to listen to all the Motown music and that as well. And they said to Brian Epstein, look, there's this fantastic group from Liverpool. We want them on the show tonight, because they were working the cabin that night. And basically what they did is they provided some music for them behind these songs. So the chants went on and the Beatles sort of played the music for them. And it was so good and it went so well that they did it for quite a while, up and down the country, And funny enough, in our time now, moving the time frame forward, we were working with a guy called David Essex in America. And we were sat at the front of the stage. Well, no, the front of the stage, exaggerating. At the back, at the back of the audience, with our manager was Ringo Starr, and he said, "Hey, Tony," he says, "Are they any relation to the Chants?" And Tony says, "Yeah, they're the brothers, So once again, they remembered, and you've got a picture there of.
Yeah, we will share it later with the viewers. Yeah, wonderful. Well, anyhow,
though they were lovely guys. We met them on occasion, really nice guys.
There are a lot of comments coming all the time, obviously. I will read you just a few, because otherwise I'm going to lose them all. Luckily, we save all the interviews, so later on you can read them all. But anyhow, Anna Sabo is saying, hi, Chris, miss you and Julie so much. I can't wait to see you again, if not before then at LKA. Longing to see Paris and the rest of the gang again. Love from Anna. Then Tina Tise is saying, my first real crush. So that was you. Let me see. Tanna Grecha is saying, Julie and Chris are so lovely, and to dedicate a lifetime to giants inspire of a glamorous career in music says it all. Great folks, great breeders. Claire Millward is saying, privileged to have had Chris is my mentor in Afghan since a teenager. Our foundation Beach was a Gable daughter, and Chris and Julie have been so supportive over the last, I'm not going to say how many years because you hate it, and to this day, really looking forward to this interview. Anyhow, there are a lot of nice comments. Steve is saying, I worked in a bar in Birmingham many moons ago, and the real thing were performs on the club one night, and I was beside myself with excitement. So anyhow, there are a lot of nice comments, and I'm always happy to see that people from all around the world are watching. I want to ask you, before we start talking about the dogs, another thing. You are involved in two, in two things that were really hardly hit by this pandemic. There were no concerts, there was no kind of events, and then there were also no dog shows. You said, in a way, this has been, of course, bad in one way, but amazing in another way, because you could finish some things that you wanted to finish for a long time. But you said you really, really missed dog shows during this time. Tell me about your pandemic life.
Basically, the pandemic gave me the opportunity to compose our new album, which I would never have had time to do. And basically, it's the first, shall we say, completely new album that we've done in years.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it really did give me the opportunity to get that together. So that was fantastic on a music level. But on a dog level, I mean, I really missed the dogs more than anything, more than the gigs, to be quite honest. Because, like I say, I had a fix musically with creativity with the album. But I really missed dog showing, because that's something that I really love. More than breeding, more than everything, I love to show my animal in the ring. I really miss that. I mean, I really did seriously miss it, you know. So the fact that it's back now has, everything's rosy now, because I've got the gig back anyway, which we're always going to come back.
Yeah.
But we've got dog shows again, which I need to balance. It's all about balance for me.
Yeah.
I need that to balance the other.
And I mean, your after pandemic dog showing is quite successful, I must say, because you have done really, really well on the shows.
Could never have imagined it, Auntie, and that's the truth. It's been beyond our dreams, really. I mean, the year that we've had, it's been fantastic. So it's just been amazing.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back now to your childhood. We are not going to mention any years, as I promised. But I want to because you said from the day one, more or less, you knew that you wanted to have something to do with music. But how did you get involved with the purebred dogs, with the dog shows? Was your family having dogs, or it was just you? How did that happen?
I had a, shall we say, somebody I really admired, a guy called Johnny Guitar Watson, who was the soul singer guitarist. And I saw this album cover, and he was sat with a couple of beautiful ladies and a couple of Afghans. And I always said, when I make it, that's what I want. The Afghans, that's what I want, you know. And so that was one of the first things that I did when I actually made it. But I think I've always had a love of animals, because when I was at school, I went to a boarding school in Wales, and what it was for broken families. My mum and dad were getting divorced at the time, and it was thought better that if I was out of all the crap, you know. So I went to a boarding school in Wales, which I absolutely loved. I ended up staying there right the way through. But they had a working farm. So we used to look after the animals on the farm, which was cows, right? Yeah. And there used to be a show in Liverpool every year called the Liverpool Show. And it was an agricultural show. So when I got to about 13, 14, they allowed me to have a heifer cow, a heifer. I was able to bring it up from a very young age, look after it, feed it, walk it, groom it, and show it. And that's where I got my competitive, that's where I got my love of animals from. And I'll show you this. Can you see that, Andy?
Yes.
That's me showing a cow.
Ah, that's us in this white, however you call it, jacket.
Yeah. And
nice.
That was my cow. I brought that up for a year and a half.
Okay.
Right. And
so you started showing cows. That was your start, actually.
Cows. Yeah, showing cows. And I really enjoyed it. Obviously, when I left school, I forgot all about that. But the love for animals remained, and that love of competition. And yes, I did have dogs when I was young, mongrels, okay. And I always loved dogs. But when I saw that picture of Johnny Guitar Watson with the Afghan, and we used to know a guy called Richard Kergham. He took me to my first dog show, and it was an Afghan breed show. I'd never seen anything like it in my life. All these 200 Afghans with this glorious coat. And I just got the bug. Got the bug. That's all I can say. I knew that is something that I wanted to do. And when I set my mind to it, I do it 100%. And I knew that I wanted to do that, Can I just say that before that happened, because of my love for this album sleeve, we were recording one of our hit records in London called Can You Feel the Force?
Mm-hmm.
And while I was down there, I was staying with our producer, Ken Gold, and he had 2 Afghans. So I was in my element, I was these Afghans. I've got to have one, I said. I've got to have one. So we phoned round. This is in the evening after we'd finished our recording session. And he found this kennel in Kent, where he used to live, or Essex. And they had an Afghan. So we went down there the next day. We bought it. And it was only 6 weeks old. So I had a box with a little towel in and put it in the box. I took it to the studio with me. It was in the studio while we were recording this song. We got home. I took it for 3-hour journey home, and I knocked on the door, and Julie opened the door, and this is at about 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. She says, "What's that you've got?" I says, "It's an Afghan. It's an Afghan hound." And she couldn't believe it, because I hadn't told her, because I didn't even know that I was going to buy this Afghan hound when I was supposed to be recording, down in London. Yeah. And I walked in with this little Afghan, little silver he was, in a box. And that was my love for Afghans.
I said to you before we started, I was thinking, like, imagine this, because I live with a lot of long-coated dogs. The guy is making all these records, doing the concerts, interviews, TV shows and everything. And then among all the breeds in the world, he buys an Afghan hound, which needs like 3 or 4 hours every 3 days for grooming and everything.
Crazy. Yeah. I tell you what, Auntie, sometimes if I was on a gig, I would do the gig, I'd get home, and I would actually bath him. If I'd get in at 1 o'clock in the morning, I would come home and I would bath him, and we'd take him to the show. We'd leave for the show at 6 o'clock that morning and show him. And people used to say, "Oh, your dog looks fantastic. He looks lovely." Little did they know that I'd only just taken him off the grooming table,
Yeah, like 5 minutes before,
but that was before Julie really got into the showing thing. I mean, obviously, as we went on, then she could bath them as well, so that made it a lot easier. And when you show Afghans, it's just part of the course. Yes, it did. It was something that you wouldn't believe I could fit in. But anybody who knows me knows the length that I go through to get to a dog show. So they will believe what I'm saying,
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole story is amazing, because with that kind of life that you were leading at that time, to come back and to buy dog and dog to do it really shows your love for the dog shows. That's really amazing.
I was bitten, and I was bitten, show bitten. So
that's great. I wanted to ask you, you bred the litter well, I will say 1984, and you got a dog which was called Viscount Grant.
Yes.
And I mean, that dog has made incredible things for you already, let's say in the beginning. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, after we've been in the breed for 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 years. We'd already had our first dog, which was a dog called Ashina Rao off Mario Hitchens, and he was very successful because he won the Hound Group at Crufts in '85. And we acquired his litter, a repeat mating, litter sister. So we decided that we were going to mate her. And as a result, we mated her to a Shahrazar dog, Shahrazar Night Gambler. And out of that came this beautiful puppy. Look, it was luck. And it was luck, you know. We knew that we had a good foundation bitch because it was a great line, the Ashina line. And by then we knew looks-wise what we wanted and sort of showmanship-wise. But to get a dog like him in your first litter, I don't care what anybody says. That's luck.
Absolutely.
That's luck, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was... I haven't seen his like, to be quite honest with you, his movement. And I've been all around the world. I've judged. I've only seen his movement on a couple of occasions. It was just pure gold. He was golden. He was golden.
And then, like the year after, you won Pup of the Year finals.
The year before, we won Pup of the Year. We won Pup of the Year when he was a puppy. He won Crufts a year after that.
Yeah, if I got well the years, he was born in '84. You won Pup of the Year in '85, and he won Crufts in '87.
That's right.
You see, I have done my homework.
Yeah.
Tell me now, 1987. You are already, let's say, a little bit experienced with showing dogs. Yes. You are a huge celebrity in the music world, and you win Best in Show Crafts with a dog from your first litter. What kind of feeling is that?
Well, it was unbelievable. I mean, it was gold. I'll tell you a little story. I owe Andrew this because Andrew was the one who put him through to the finals, Andrew Brace, and we won it. And as a result of that, because of who we were, it was on every single news program throughout the day in England and in Barbados, everywhere.
Yeah.
And while they were doing that, he was running around. They were playing our record, You to Me, or everything, right?
That's amazing. Yeah.
And because of that, there was a DJ called Froggy who thought, Christ, with all this publicity, we should do a remix on this. And we'd had 5-6 years. Well, no, we'd had a decade in the wilderness from when not in the wilderness, I'll tell a lie, but from when You to Me was released, it was 10 years.
Yeah.
And so he did this remix and it went into the top 5 again. And that is all because of Gable winning Pup of the Year. That's what spiked it.
Amazing.
All off again. And it actually gave us probably our biggest year in the show business, because not only did they re-release You to Me on everything, they also re-released Can't Get By Without You and Can You Feel the Force and the album, and they all sold millions again. So and that was all because of Gable. That was all because of him. And then I always remember we won the Hound Group with Hamilton 2 years previous, and we took Gable to Crufts, and we didn't expect anything, Auntie, not a thing, because the woman who was judging had nothing remotely like Gable. She was a famous woman from the Isfahan kennels, which were mainly blacks, pure black Afghans.
Yeah, yeah.
And she'd had nothing like him. And I remember I went over to the show the day before, and Teddy Thorne got me a ticket to go into the Hound group, to watch the groups.
Yes.
And when you sat there and you just feel a pang because you think, will we ever be in this ring again? The day after we won it. The day after we actually, I was in there.
Yeah.
And we were, you know, and the feeling, I can only say, was it like having a number one? No, because when you have a number one, it changes your whole life.
Yeah.
Okay. But was the thrill the same? Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was amazing, the thrill.
And what I want to ask you is, you know, after all these years, do you think like, oh, it would be nice to do it again? Is
Absolutely.
it something
Every year?
every year?
Every pup that's dropped the Chardonnay, that's a Croft Best in Show winner.
Yeah.
That one, all I go, well, that one is, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah.
Well, anyhow, Carol is saying, I remember watching the Hound Group at Crafts when Chris won and said then that he would win Best in Show. It was pure magic watching them both move around the ring. So obviously there are a lot of people who still remember that. The dog that you won Best in Show at Crafts didn't have your kennel name. You got your kennel name a little bit later. Where did the kennel name come from?
My favorite singer, well, one of, is a singer called Sade.
Okay.
And it means in African, it means to bestow a crown.
Okay.
And I think that he bestowed a crown on Sade. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and then sounds very well. Absolutely. So yeah. that was a good choice of the kennel name. I want to ask you now the thing that I ask to all my guests, because you are not only a breeder of Afghans but also a judge. And if you would need to explain to somebody in your eyes how the perfect Afghan hound should look like, or at least what are the main things that one Afghan hound should have, what would you point out?
I think at the moment, for me, a lot of the hounds are they're losing the sight hound look to them because the legs are getting too short. So the first thing I look for is proportion and balance, and that lovely sort of far away look at and through one look. When an Afghan looks at you with that lovely triangular eye, that lovely triangular darkish eye, that is what really gives me a thrill when I'm looking at them. If they've got that balance and they've got that lovely sight hound, that lovely greyhound-like outline, that's what I'm looking for when I'm looking at it.
And when you look at the Afghans today, you are not showing them so much nowadays. What do you see? What do you see as the biggest problem of the breed at the moment?
Lack of understanding of the standard to me, because top lines have gone as compared to what they used to be. Not so much in a lot of the top kennels, but a lot of people are buying Afghans now from here, there, and everywhere because the kennels are winning, and they don't really know why they want them Afghans, apart from the fact that they're winning. I think that they should read the standard more and see what it was, what is unique to Afghans. A ringtail, that far away look that they have, that lovely top line. Have a look at Trist of Grandjaw. Have a look at dogs like Raoul. Have a look at the top lines and see what's changed in them now. And the lovely long legs that they have, you know. I find that they're vanishing. Not all over, don't get me wrong. I'm not.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I'm not painting a sort of picture of doom and gloom. There are a lot of nice Afghans, obviously. But I find on the whole, and I haven't judged them for a while now, by the way, they're the main points that I think they're getting lost. The top lines are gone. They're gone. To what I knew, behind the withers, there's like too much depth behind the withers for me. The long legs are definitely going. The ringtails have gone. And that lovely dark triangular eye. I would suggest that people get out pictures of the older Afghans like Trist of grandeur. And there's a lot of there's some very nice Italian Afghans at the moment that I really like to see. And there's a lot of nice Afghans around the world. Look at them, study them, and it's quite obvious what's missing, you know, for me.
Yeah. And when you compare your dog that won Best in Show at Crafts to the, let's say, big winners of today, do you think that in these years, it's like 30 years, do you think that the breed has changed a lot, and do you think it has changed for better or for worse?
I think it's changed for worse. That's not to say that he would come in now and absolutely blaze the show ring. I mean, I don't know what judges would think of him now. I only know what we thought of him then. And I think that Afghans have changed for the worse now. I really do. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy watching them, because what they have got now is attitude. And it's nice to see attitude in an Afghan, because I think it's a very important part of the Afghan himself to have that attitude. But it's at the expense of the movement has changed. Whereas before, you used to have this gliding movement where they go forward and push. Now it's more an upward sort of movement, you know, which is very flashy, you know, and nice.
Yeah.
And the head carriage is too, I don't know, it should be more forward. But forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if a dog's head is up too far, it's not going to stride out as much than if a dog is looking ahead, and it'll really sort of stride out to go with that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
feel that we've lost a lot of the basics that we used to take for granted before.
Yeah, unfortunately, I must say that it has happened with many breeds, not just with the Afghans. But okay, yeah, it is good, as you say. There are still really good dogs all around the world.
There's still some fantastic Afghans.
Yeah, but unfortunately, looking at the general picture, it's not so. I want to ask you just the last thing about the Afghans. If you can remember the old times when you didn't sleep and you were grooming, how difficult is to keep the Afghan in a really top condition, cold condition?
I think it's if you're actually showing Afghans and campaigning Afghans, I found it quite easy, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But because you used to, I mean, you must know, and
absolutely,
you're the coach breed. It's something that you just do. It becomes second nature. But you've got to keep on top. You can't leave an Afghan. We never left our Afghans for more than 5 days a week, ever.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, I think people don't understand, you know, that it is what you say, you know, the things must be done. Doesn't matter how tired you are and what did you do that day, whatever. If it needs to be done, it needs to be done, because one day can make really a big difference. Yeah. Anyhow, the breed that you are extremely successful with now are the Irish Wolfhounds. You are doing really, really well. I mean, I see it on Facebook. I want to ask you, how did you get in touch with the Irish Wolfhounds? How did that story start for you?
I always loved Irish Wolfhounds from when we started showing, and it was always a breed that I felt I'd like to own. I always remember I was showing Raoul at the time, and Zena Thorne Andrews was showing Kayak, and we were in the ring together in the hound group. And I always remember I had to go after Zena. Or was it before? I had to run before. Anyway, she came back and I completely bumped into her. And completely spoiled her chances because I beat her in the hound group. So I thought, oh, she's going to hate me for this, you know. And a couple of months later, I remember I bumped into her at a show. And I said, Zena, I'm coming over to the Wolfhound ring. Will you show me which ones to film? And she asked me why. I said, because I'm thinking of getting one. And she says, well, it's your lucky day, she said, because I've got a litter at the moment. And I've got what looks like a lovely dog, she says, which I'll let you have, but only if he turns out properly. And so I had to wait. And anyway, at Gable's very last show that I ever showed him was at Border County's Hound. And she said to me, he's come on, he's beautiful, you can have him.
Wonderful.
And I went the next day, and I picked him up. And that was my introduction to Irish Wolfhounds.
And obviously you fell in love with the breed. That's quite obvious.
I was already in love with the breed. But when I got him, it was like, wow, I can take him out in the mud. I can take him
exactly.
to the park in the winter. You know, I can run him through the
I can stay 2 hours extra in the bar.
It was brilliant. And it was just, he just suited me, you know. He just suited me. He just suited me. That's the best way I can put it. You know, it's everything about him. I just like him.
And compared to the Afghans, when you think of the most important features of the Irish Wolfhound, what do you say that it's like something that every good Irish Wolfhound should have?
Well, he's got to have a commanding appearance. He's got to have a commanding appearance. When you see a Wolfhound in the ring, that's what you're looking for. But the only way he's going to have that, once again, is to have those sighthound proportions and the general greyhound outline. Because if he hasn't got that, he's not going to have that commanding appearance. You know, a lot of people think about commanding appearance as a great big dog that commands your attention. But for me, it doesn't command my attention in any way, shape or form. If it's just a big dog, big tall dog, you know, it's got to have the right proportion. And I just look for a lovely shapely outline with the correct proportions. If it's got that, it's going to have the quality that it requires to give it that commanding appearance. So that's what I'm looking for when I'm looking for an Irish Wolfhound.
And you're showing them now really frequently. And when you look the breed in general, the same what I asked you about the Afghans, what do you think at the moment is the biggest problem of the breed?
They're getting too short in leg, without a shadow of a doubt. And I think in some cases they're losing athleticism. A lot of them have got tremendous bone and substance, but it's at the expense of the athleticism that they need for speed. So yes, you know, you feel the bone and it's fantastic, but they move in a cloddy sort of way, you know. And I also feel that, and I felt this for a long time, that there's a general lack of forechest, which isn't written in the standard forechest, but it's something that they require. They need something between the elbows.
Of course.
Right? You don't want to see these great big turkey-breasted dogs. Nobody wants that. But they should have a nice sufficient fill between the elbows. And it's not there. I would say in most countries, there's a general lack of forechest on most of the Irish Wolfhounds.
Yeah, I can say in most of the breeds.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the big problems in many breeds.
Yeah. And like I say, but the big problem is they're just getting shorter in leg. And the thing about getting shorter in leg, I think it's something that is very, very difficult to breed out once you've got it in. Once you establish that in your line, if you're not careful, I just think it's very, very difficult to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So I just think it's something that really needs watching in the breed.
Yeah. There is a question from Andrew Brace for you. He's saying, Chris, you were acknowledged as being an outstanding handler of Afghan hounds, and this seemed to be the perfect breed for you with your natural flair and style. Did you have to adapt your handling technique when you ventured into Irish Wolfhounds, with the two breeds having rather different character and gait?
Yes, I did have to change, but the fundamentals are still the same. You move the dog in a way which is correct for the breed, and you learn how to do it quick.
Yeah.
I've said something very silly to Sina Thorne Andrews when I was taking him away and we were talking about handling. I said, don't worry, Zena, I'll handle him. He'll be handled on a shoestring. That's how confident I was that I could move him. I tell you, I've never felt so ridiculous in my life. There's no way you're moving an Irish Wolfhound, no matter how well trained, on a shoestring. So that went out the window within the first week. And another thing that I had to get used to was brushes.
Mm-hmm.
With an Afghan, you're used to having a brush in your hand.
Yeah, brush all the time.
You know, it's like, but I used to take the brush in the ring with me. And I used to be brushing away. And they were all laughing at me.
Yeah.
And I used to just say, well, I don't care.
It was just a habit, yeah.
Even if I'm just combing his beard, which he didn't have much because he had a really tight coat. Even if I'm just combing his beard, I'm taking a brush in the ring with me and I'm brushing him while I'm in the ring. And I've always done it. I still do it. And but yeah, it was totally different. The Wolfhounds, it really was.
And tell me, how much did the Irish Wolfhounds changed in the last years, and did they change for the worse or for the better? You think that they were better in the past, or do you think they are better now?
Well, they were. I can only, for England especially, they were better in the past. And the reason why was because there were a lot of fantastic breeders. When we first came into it, there was the Sepulchres, there was the Drakesleets, there was the Salthampsteds, the Eagle Scrags. There were all these kennels. They were all producing fantastic dogs, you know. And you know, you're talking about they'd have like the Witches' Brooms. They'd have like 4 and 5 dogs each at the show, high quality dogs. You haven't got that now, so therefore, yes, the quality is definitely not there the way that it used to be. If we're talking about around the world, well, I did the national in America 2 years ago, and the quality was fantastic. It was fantastic, you know. I did the European Irish Wolfhound Club show at the Congress, which a lot of the top wolfhounds around Europe were there. The quality was fantastic. So the quality's there.
Yeah.
You take each country as a whole and you're just judging the hounds in that country. I think the quality has definitely dipped.
Yeah. Tell me if you could change something in the breed standard of the Irish Wolfhounds, would you change anything, or you wouldn't, or you think the standard is perfectly fine?
I think the standard's fine.
It's fine.
I really do. I think that the you know, if you look at wolfhounds around the world, they're pretty uniform. I know we're talking about things that they're lacking and things like that. It's the general type. When you look at them, you go, most people have not got deerhoundy type wolfhounds. You know, they're still pretty typey wolfhounds around the world, and so the standard suits all.
Yeah. Tell me about the health. They are big dogs. Unfortunately, as far as I know, they don't live too long. Is it that because of the health, or I spoke with some breeders and they said if they could change something, not only in Irish Wolfhounds but in many big breeds, they said they would like to do something that they can live longer. What about health in general?
Well, to be quite honest with you, I think the Irish Wolfhounds for a giant breed are healthy. Myself. Yes, we got problems. We've got heart problems. We have blood problems. We have cancer problems. There are problems. But, you know, Auntie, if you've got big people, they suffer things and they have to be careful with the hearts.
Yeah, of course.
Now, you've got a giant breed. And if you want a giant breed, you've got to realise that they're not going to live as long as the smaller breed. And absolutely. I came into the breed with the attitude. I always remember the late June Minns said to me, she was a really famous all-round, especially hound judge, said to me that wolfhounds are fantastic, but they'll break your heart.
Yeah.
I'm of the mentality that I understand that my wolfhounds may not be with me for a long period of time. So what I do is I enjoy them while they're with me.
Of course.
And what I try to do is I try with our breeding to keep away as much as I can from things that are going to give me problems. I.e., I'm not going to breed any dog of mine that's got a slightly bad heart, even if it's only minimal. I'm not going to breed from it.
Yeah.
And I won't breed it to an animal, even if it's got a slightly bad heart. So in my way, what I'm doing is I'm trying to assure that I weaken that gene that gives you the bad heart.
Yeah.
And it's the same, that's all you can do.
Yeah, of course.
You know, the fact is, we all want our dogs to live longer.
Of course.
And people are trying this and trying that to make Irish wolfhounds live longer. I think, myself personally, I might be wrong. The only way you're going to get Irish wolfhounds to live that much longer is to down the size.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Make them smaller, you know.
Yeah, but then they will not be anymore what they are now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Tell me the last question about the Irish Wolfhounds. When you compare the grooming with the Afghans and the Irish Wolfhounds, was it difficult, to start trimming and to get used to not bath them so much as the Afghans? How different it is, and how difficult it is to keep the Wolfhound in the show condition?
First of all, I think it's very, very difficult to keep any coated breed in condition, coat-wise. It's very, very easy with an Afghan if you keep on top of it and you do the correct amount of grooming. And the same with a wolfhound. But believe you me, wolfhounds need a lot of grooming.
Yeah.
People think that they don't. They do. Our wolfhounds are groomed weekly, properly groomed weekly. I never ever bath a wolfhound. I've never bathed a wolfhound, ever. You do it by keeping on top of the coat, by making sure that the coat is properly groomed every week.
Yeah.
And not allow dead hair to form as much as you can, especially after show season. And it is different, but it's just as difficult.
Are you doing the grooming yourself?
I do the grooming. Mainly,
okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And then while I'm relaxing at the show, Julie does the grooming.
Okay.
Because I can't get the suit dirty, Auntie. Come on, I've got to go in the ring and show the dog.
Of course. So
therefore, Julie has to do the grooming at the show. And
okay.
I come and say, right, put the lead on and take him in the show in nice, pristine condition after Julie's groom. Yeah.
That's nice. Let me see. There are a few questions or comments. Anne is asking, don't you think big dogs like the Great Danes and Irish Wolfhounds are not as popular as they used to be? Well, they are not, obviously.
They're certainly not in wolfhounds because there's no younger people coming into them. So, they're not as popular. They're definitely not as popular.
Yeah. But it must be also, I think, a little bit because of of the lifestyle of people. People don't have so much time, and not also probably most of the people so much money to feed them, and it's of course it's a different thing.
And room, Auntie, as well. Space.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of space.
Yeah, that's. I mean, Great Dane or Irish Wolfhound is not one breed that you can give to anybody. People need to have. Yeah. Okay. There is a part, Chris, which is called, I call them quick questions, and there are some questions there for you. So let's see how you are going to deal with them. The first one is, which show you judged till now you consider to be the highlight of your judging career?
Crufts.
Afghans or Irish Wolfhounds?
Afghans.
That was more challenging.
It was. It was an unbelievable entry. And because I'm not in Afghans now, I really had to work. I really had to work to sort of make sure that was on the game. You know, I find wolfhounds easier to judge than Afghans because I'm in wolfhounds.
Yeah, of course.
Croft was the first. Afghans was the first breed of the two that I judged at Crofts, so that was just unbelievable.
Yeah. Tell me.
I didn't the Afghans because my brother had only died 2 weeks before. I had that on my mind when I judged the wolfhounds as well, which helped me take my mind off it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You know.
I can understand that. Yeah. Tell me, what would be the favorite Afghan and the favorite Irish wolfhound of all times, not bred or owned by you?
Tryst of Grandeur.
Okay.
And Drake's Leap Kayak.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, let's go back now a little bit to music, because I'm just curious. What would be the favorite song of yours? Not one of yours, but from somebody else.
Somebody else's record.
Yeah, a song. Any
okay.
song.
Yeah,
something that when you come home and you say, I would like to listen to this.
Lovely Day by Bill Withers.
Okay, wonderful. What would you say is the best dog that you ever bred?
Gable.
Gable.
Yes.
Okay. When you think of all the things that you won with your dogs, what would be the favorite win for you?
The favorite win of all my dogs?
Yes. Crafts. One breed that you never had at home and maybe you would like to have one day. Is there something that you say, okay, I would like to have this one day?
No. I don't really like another breed. No.
Oh, that's nice. So there is nothing else that you really like?
Nothing floats my boat like the two
Wonderful.
breeds.
Okay. So you are easy on that.
Yeah.
Tell me, is there a dog person who is not alive anymore and you terribly miss?
Marion Spavin.
Yeah. Many
the
have
queen.
Yeah.
The queen.
Yes.
The absolute queen.
Yeah. Many people gave that answer. Tell me like this. If you would need to mention one breeder of any breed that has always impressed you with the quality of his dogs, one from the UK and one from the rest of the world, which two breeders would you mention?
Of the breeds that I'm in?
No, it can be any breed, but it can also be your breeds, whatever you like.
Yeah. Xena Thorne Andrews.
Okay, in the UK.
In the UK.
And outside of UK?
Ludovica Salomon.
Ludovica Salomon. Okay, nice. Is there a judge in the UK whose opinion is extremely important for you about your dogs? Somebody that, when you see that somebody is judging, you say, I want to hear his opinion or her opinion about my dogs.
Xena Thorne Andrews.
Xena, wonderful. She will be happy because I see she's watching also the interview. Let me ask you this. If you would need to go somewhere far away, let's say to show your dogs or to judge some shows, and you would need to stay there for 10 days, which 5 people from the dog world would you bring with you?
Well, I'd take my mate, Roger Tebbit.
Okay.
I'd take Andrew.
Okay.
Who's great fun. I'd take my mate Diana Spavin, because she's absolute great fun as well.
Okay.
Oh, now we're getting to the nitty gritty. Now. Let's see. That's difficult.
Well, you mentioned 3. I suppose you would bring your wife, so that's 4.
Oh no. No. Come on now. If I brought my wife, that would limit the places where I could go, because that Julie would come with me is if it was 90 degrees. So therefore, that limits the places. Yeah, of course, obviously my wife.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's okay. We can stay with 4. That's fine.
Yeah.
if you would need to thank 5 people who have helped you to become what you are today in a dog world, which 5 people, dead or alive, you would like to thank?
Well, Xenophon Andrews for having the faith to give us a pick of litter. Meryl Hitchens for the same reason, because they're our mentors. So there's the 2. I'm also thankful to that's a difficult one, actually.
Yeah, I have only difficult questions.
Yeah. Okay, I would say Andrew.
Okay.
Andrew Brace, because that win, that Pup of the Year win, was the one win that sort of, it signaled the real start of Gable's career.
Yeah.
Which allowed him to, Joe Braddon.
Okay.
Joe Braddon, because it didn't matter with Joe Braddon. If I entered in 10 classes under Joe Braddon, I won 10 classes. So therefore, it was Joe Braddon, who helped us a lot. He really did. Because in them days, when you got first prize, it really did mean something, I used to bring the rosettes home and put them in a little album, and most of them came from Joe Braddon.
Yeah. But I think what you said now, Chris, I think it's so important, because unfortunately, I'm sure that you have experienced the same lately. When people are judging, not many of them will put up a person in more than 1 or 2 classes, because they will say, oh, people will say I'm giving all to the same person. But there are still few judges who will, come, and if the same person has the best dog in every class, they will put him up, because that's what should be done.
Yeah, but Auntie, I'm not sure if that's quite true, because with Joe Braddon, I went under him at the Cheshire Show, and he gave me every class I went in and best in breed, and then he gave me best in show.
Okay.
What I discovered later on is that the best in show prize was one of them great big wheels of cheese, right?
Okay.
You think I got that cheese? You think went over cheese? Me or Joe Braddon? Come on. Some of these judges have an ulterior motive, and that's all I'll say.
Okay.
I'm not saying that they're bent. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they have an ulterior motive when it comes to cheese.
You're just saying that you still remember that you didn't get that.
Oh God, I remember it.
Tell me, I don't need the name if you don't remember. You can say just the show and the breed. The best dog you ever judged.
Ooh. The best wolfhound I ever judged was one of Ludwika's, which was Aragon.
Okay.
That's a these. And there was a bitch that I judged at the European Irish Wolfhound Show called Leandro Barbaria. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but you know what I mean. A German bitch.
Okay.
Wolfhounds. And the breed record holder in Afghan, Solomon Seal of Karnak, I thought it was a beautiful dog to go over.
Okay, wonderful.
I would say them 3.
Okay. Ger Flick is saying, Joe Braddon loved this guy, told me about this pop star and his fabulous Afghan long before the Crafts win. So, yes. Look.
I went under Joe Braddon once, and you won't believe this. It was when I just first come into dogs. And when I first came into dogs, I used to have this great big wolf coat, right? Which all pop stars wore in them days.
Okay.
Long wolf coat and my hat. And I arrived late at the show, and I went in to the ring, and I had this wolf coat and my hat on. I won the class. This is at right? So then I took the coat off, and then after the show, Joe Braddon come up to me and says, "Come here, Mr. Amoo, come here." So you always did what you told when Joe called you. Always. Okay. He called me over. He said, "Let me try that coat on. Let me try it on." So, like when you sort of, I had hair then, big afro. And when you took your hat off, it looked like a pile of crap. Yeah. And you're thinking, I don't really want to do this. But anyway, it was Joe. So I took my coat off and gave it him. And I took my hat off, and he tried it on. And he was parading around in this coat. And I tell you, then, it was the best thing I ever did because I never lost the show since then.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds good. Okay,
Oh,
this
I
is
tell
good.
a lie. I did lose once. Gear beat me in the puppy stakes. I won mine. I think Gear won with a whippet bitch.
Okay.
And he beat me for best overall. Yeah.
Under Joe.
Under Joe. Yeah.
So we need to ask Gail, what did he give to Joe?
Yeah.
Cheese or what it was?
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah.
Yes. So Gail, tell us please, what did Joe get from you when you won that, whatever it was, Pup of the Year, or I don't know. I want to ask you because, and I'm curious about that, because you said you're not so interested in other breeds. So the question is that I always ask, if you were offered to judge 3 national specialties in the USA in the breeds of your choice, what would they be? So I suppose it would be Irish Wolfhounds, and there would be Afghans. Is there one breed that maybe you would not like to have, but you would like to judge it?
Yes, I'd like to do Deerhounds.
Deerhounds. Okay,
yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When I say that, I'm not interested in. I'm interested in the breeds, but I just don't want to own any.
Yeah. Okay.
I like the breeds.
Anyhow, Gary Flick is saying secrets never to be shared. So we will never find out. I want to ask you if you could improve one thing in your breeding of Irish Wolfhounds. Is there something that you would really like to improve?
Yes.
What?
Ears. I have terrible ears. Terrible.
Okay.
And I got them off Zena Thorne Andrew, so you can tell her that.
So Zena is to be blamed for that.
Big bloody ears.
Let me see if this can be done, but I think I see it perfectly. Beltran, I think maybe Michael needs to do, because Michael is saying maybe change background colors on the page. We can't read comments because of the white background. Loving the interview. I don't know. I have the letters in black and the background in white, so I perfectly read it. I don't know. Maybe Beltran, you can write to Michael what he should. Okay, it's Michael Beltran is saying that's done by Facebook, and it cannot be done anything about that. Yeah, I read them perfectly. So unfortunately, we can't help with that. Tell me, last quick question, and that's again just something that I'm curious about. You know, when we talk about the dog world, we people from the dog world, we always say, "Oh, dog world is horrible. It's so full of jealousy. It's so full of corruption. It's impossible to succeed if you don't have somebody who is pushing you." When you compare that to the show business, is the dog world so bad or it's not?
Well, I don't consider the dog world bad at all. Actually,
okay.
I think that people who say that are talking a load of rubbish, to be quite honest.
Okay.
It's always been my view that in the dog world, if you've got a good one, you will always get through if you've got a good dog. There are enough judges. There are 3 types of judges. There are good judges, there are honest judges who try to do the best, and then there are crap judges.
Yeah.
And I think we need all 3, because with the crap judges, the ones that don't normally win sometimes get a good win, and you need them people that they feed off that, so they need that, and I just don't agree with all this that the dog world is sat in the other, because I've been in it for over 40 years, and I wouldn't have been in it over 40 years if I thought that.
And how is in the show business?
In the show business, it's very cutthroat, but it's down to in the music business, it's other people control you and what you're going to do, and they have got a lot of control over whether one of your records is a hit or whether it isn't.
Yeah.
And they're a lot more. You can't really compare, Nancy. To be, you honestly, you can't compare.
We've
had a fantastic time in the music business. So how can I say?
Something bad about it. But I think it comes to the same point, like you said for the dogs. I think it's the same. You said if you have a good dog,
Yeah.
you know, you will go through. And it's the same probably in music. If you have a good song and if you are a good performer, you will go through. Sooner or later,
if you've got the right amount of talent,
yeah,
and stick at it in the music business, you might not have a hit record because there's not many people. When you consider the amount of people that are in the business, there's not that many people that have hit records, but you can have a good career. If you're talented and you've got it, you can have a good career in the music business without hit records. You can have a good career doing what you enjoy doing. And that for me is what it's all about. You know, you're doing something that you enjoy doing. And you might not have a #1 hit record or whatever, but you're enjoying what you're doing and you're getting paid for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can completely agree with that. Tell me now, Chris, a little bit about breeding. I want to ask you, when you decide to do a breeding, how do you choose the parents of the litter? How important are the pedigrees for you? Do you do mostly line breeding? What are your experiences without crossing? And did you breed differently Afghans and Irish Wolfhounds, or you have the same point on both breeds?
Yeah. We've always used the same principle. We've always line bred.
Okay.
Always. We didn't have to go out with our Afghans because there was enough diversity within the breed. There's a lot of lines in the breed, so we didn't really have to. And we could keep the sort of type that we saw, that we wanted running on our paddocks, that we wanted to live with. We could keep that. With the Irish Wolfhounds, it was a bit different because the gene pool's smaller. So yes, we line breed most times, but we've gone out once, twice to great success. In fact, the young dogs that we're showing now are a product of an outcross that we did a generation back, 2 generations
that's
back.
Great.
So yes, you've got to, with Irish Wolfhounds, every now and again, you must do an outcross. But we've always just believed that we line breed. And as far as pedigrees go, yes, they are important. But also what's important, I have to like what I'm seeing. I will not use a dog just for its pedigree. I won't do it.
Yeah.
I won't do it, you know. Like, for instance, I find that a lot of people make the mistake of, they see a dog that's winning a lot and has produced good puppies, but they'll go and use a little brother, thinking that they're going to get the same. Well, no way, Jose. There's no way, you know. And I think that a lot of people don't really realize that, you know. So yes, pedigrees are important, very, very important, but so is the dogs that we use. I'll always look at a dog and say, if some of the puppies turn out like that, am I going to like them? And if I can say to myself, yes, I'll use the dog if the pedigree ties in.
That's great. Tell me, when you want, because obviously we are talking about a big breed, so they need quite a lot of time, you know, to develop and to grow. When you are choosing a puppy, let's say the one that you want to keep for yourself, or you want to sell for a show home, at what age do you pick up the puppy, and what is actually like the most important thing that you look in a puppy?
I can normally have a good idea at about 4 weeks as to, right, should I be looking at this one? Certainly by 6 weeks, I've got a fairly good idea of what I would like to keep. It has changed occasionally, but generally at about 6 weeks. And basically what I'm looking for, even at 6 weeks, I don't like anything crooked with a wolfhound. A wolfhound should still be able to stand straight. And sometimes they are a bit cow-hocked, but you can generally tell if that's just a little bit of weakness or if they are got something wrong. So I would say 8 weeks I make up my mind, pretty much. And it's maybe teeth not turning out, maybe things like that. I never have to look at the ears because I know they're always going to be crying.
Thanks to Zina. Thanks to Zina.
Yeah, thanks to Zina. Forget them. But then again, at least she showed me how to fold them back. That was one of the first things she had to do.
You see, that's nice.
Ears, that's the ears from the ringside, you know.
Yeah. What I wanted to ask you, it's a big breed, so obviously most of the time there are a lot of puppies in the litter. Do you and Julie always agree which puppy you are going to keep, or you fight about that?
No, not normally, Auntie. Not normally. Number one, we don't have big litters in Wolfhounds.
Okay.
We just don't. You know, the most we've ever had in a Wolfhound was 8 and reared 6.
Yeah.
So 6 is
okay.
quite.
That's not a lot.
Yes, we're normally looking at the same. We normally keep 2.
Okay.
And we're normally looking at the same 2.
Okay, that's good.
You know what, Auntie, with a Wolfhound, they look big, but if they're going to have the substance that you want them to have when they grow, you can tell by picking them up. And if you pick them up when they're about 4 weeks, 3 weeks, you'll find that even the taller ones might not be quite as dense as the slightly smaller one. And I would always more go for the slightly smaller one because I'm not really that bothered about huge height or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I do like substance. I do like that density, that nice bone. And you normally find that you can tell that at about 3-4 weeks.
Okay, that makes sense. You were mentioning a little bit before 3 types of judges. One type of judges was a good judge. What would you say is a good judge for you?
Number one, a judge that knows what he's doing, that knows the breed he's judging, and who's honest. That's a good judge for me. If you know what you're doing and you're honest, that to me is a good judge.
You are showing a lot now and going around. How do you see the quality of judges and judging nowadays compared to the times when you started with the dogs? Did it change, or it's always the same?
When we first come into it, for the first 10 years, you're learning, and to be honest with you, the best judges were the ones that give you first.
Yeah, of course, yeah. No doubts about that.
As you start judging yourself, you realise obviously there's a lot more to it than that. Look, I find that back in the day, a lot of the judges were judges that had breeds themselves, several breeds themselves, like Teddy Thorne, Harry Jordan, Bobby James, people like that, Andrew, all them. They've all handled and shown and bred at the top level.
Yeah.
So that, in a lot of cases, they know the anatomy of a dog.
And they appreciate the good dog.
And they appreciate the breed standards. Yeah. I find that now, with a lot of judges, it depends on what they're actually seeing in their own countries. And they judge by that, which is wrong. Because really and truly, what they should be doing is studying the standard and realizing that sometimes what they're actually seeing when they're going around these places isn't quite correct, even though they're winning every week in that particular country, Yeah. So that's the only way I can answer that, really.
That's pretty true. I'm usually, because there is a lot of talking about that, and different people have different opinions about that. Some people, when they start judging a lot, they stop breeding and showing their dogs because they don't feel comfortable to show under their colleagues. And then other people don't mind that, and they think that, they have enough trust in their colleagues that even when they show a dog, even if they are colleagues, they will judge the dogs. I want to ask you, in your experience, because when you started showing, you were like a superstar. Did that sometimes help you, or did that sometimes go against you when you were showing your dog? And in general, like when you were coming at the first dog shows, you were like superstar, you said yourself.
Mhm.
You know, how did people react, you know, when you would come to the dog show?
Well, what I found was, especially when we started winning a lot, is that a lot of people were saying, "Oh, he's just winning because it's him."
Yeah.
And my answer to that was, well, the advantage I've got, when they see me in the ring, they remember me. Not only because of my colour, but because of the dog. Now, that has got advantages and disadvantages. Because if you've got a really good dog and they see you winning, they remember you and they remember your dog.
Yeah.
Because, and if it's a good dog, it's like they're saying, I remember that winning the other week. It's a really good dog. But if it's a load of crap, once again, they'll remember. So whereas you can have the advantage of maybe next week or the week you'll win with a crap dog, 9 times out of 10, you people don't remember that they saw you a couple of weeks ago at the bottom of the lineup.
Yeah.
And if they don't know what they're doing, they'll put you up. You understand what I'm saying? So it's got its advantages. Sure, it has. But the advantage is only if you've got a great dog. And I had a great dog. That first dog that we had was a great dog. So yeah, of course. People
but in general, you know, the exhibitors and other people, when you would come at that time,
yes, they were great. Auntie, look, I wouldn't have stayed in it that long if I hadn't have enjoyed the experience. And believe you me, that first dog didn't win every week.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of the times he was second.
Yeah.
And then he'd have a first, then he'd have a third, a fourth, a third, and then a first, and then a couple of, you know, and, you know, I had to stand behind a lot of people all the time,
of course,
all the way up,
yeah.
You know, but if I didn't love it, I wouldn't have been in it for over 40 years. And, like I say, if I got a third, I'd take that rosette home and I'd put it in an album because I was generally over the moon to get a third.
Yeah.
And I certainly didn't think to myself, I'm only getting beat because they're more well known than me. You know? And I'm like a sponge in that way. I used to watch people like Marita Gibbs, like especially Michael Canalizo when he was handling, because he's the best handler for me of Afghans that I used to, and I'm saying this very seriously now, that I used to watch and learn from. And I'm like a sponge, and that's what I think people lack. They go in the ring and they've got all right dogs and they show like a pile of crap.
Yeah.
And they're dragging these dogs around, and instead of taking a step back and saying to themselves, well, yeah, because the dog didn't perform like the one that's won. Yeah. Instead of blaming it all on, oh, it's the faces that win.
Yeah. But this is unfortunately nowadays, you know, a regular story. And it's always from the people who have bad dogs, you know, towards the people who have good dogs. There is always explanation why somebody has won, and it is never because he has a good dog, you know. It's because he's famous or because of this or because of that. I think as you said,
cycles as well, Auntie. It goes in cycles. We're having a great time at the moment, but come in the future, a couple of months, a year's time, it just depends. We'll be stuck behind somebody who's probably on in the ring with a better dog than us, and they'll be doing all the winning, and we'll be look, they're not there.
But that's also nice, you know, because it keeps you going, you know, all the time to get a better dog, and as you say, to learn more and to do better. So that's I think the competition is amazing. I think that's the best thing that can happen to somebody. You know, it's the best thing that can happen for a breed when you have a good competition, you know, and good breeders, as you said. So anyhow, now is the time, Chris, to share with our viewers the 6 photos that you sent to us.
Okay.
Beltran will put them on the screen, and you can tell us why did you choose these photos as 6 photos of your life. Obviously, there must have been much more but these, for some reason, were extremely important for you. So the first photo that we are sharing with our viewers is obviously something from the newspapers. It says "Sealing a Real Romance," and I would say this is a photo from your wedding.
It is, yes.
Okay.
And what was so fantastic about that was it was a lovely day anyway, and getting married. Julie was only very young then; she was only about 18 or something, right? But the main thing I remember about that was when we went to buy our Afghan off Meriel, we told Meriel that we were married. Okay. Because we thought she's not going to let us have a dog if she knows, we could split up next week.
Yeah.
So we told her she was married. And then all of a sudden, when we got married, it was splashed over nationally, over all the papers, right? Yeah. And Mary will come up to us a couple of weeks later. She says, "You lied to me." She said, "You told me you were married." And this was about, a year after we'd sort of bought the dog. So that sticks in my mind with that photograph.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, the second photo that you sent, that it's something that you mentioned a few times tonight. That's a photo of two of you and the big trophy of the Best in Show from Crafts.
Yeah, I mean, that was an unbelievable day. But it was one of the best days of my life. So, especially in dogs, it was the best day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was a milestone. I mean, that was, our first dog to get Best in Show at Crofts. I mean, how lucky is that? Come on.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I mean, you can't.
Yeah, you can't. Ask anything more than that. That's for sure. Okay, then the next one is I think the trophy of the Pup of the Year. It's probably the same dog, and it's you there. That was probably a start of the career of
it was the start of the career and the rebirth of the real thing. Because, like I said to you before, it was 10 years to the day that You To Me had first become a hit.
Yeah.
And that was 10 years today. And that is what spiked the re-release of You To Me Are Everything the following year. And once again, it went right up into the top 5. And it was all because of that dog.
That's amazing.
And for putting him through.
Yeah. Let me see. The picture number 4 is a lot of you with Paul McCartney.
Well, that was when we were the only black group ever in England to have been awarded Best New Group of the Year. And that was like the Daily Mirror Pop Awards. That was like the Brits now. That was what it used to be then. And Paul McCartney and Wings were on. They won Best Rock. David Essex was on. I think he won Best Vocalist. And we won Best New Group. And that's, that was like a big, big deal. It was a big deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It was a big
deal. Still today, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So it's to see you on the photos of these people that we just heard about and we know about.
Absolutely.
Them. I mean, to be on the photo with them and to know them, it must be just amazing. Then we have a cover from the Dog World from spring 1985.
That was our first show dog, Raoul, who won the Hound Group at Crufts in 1985. And he was our very first dog, and he's the one that started it all off for us.
Yeah, but that's amazing. Like, your first dog won the group at Crafts, then the first dog that you bred won Best in Show at Crafts. That's just like amazing.
Unbelievable. I'm a lucky person, and I'm a lucky person. This is,
that's
somebody shines down on me.
That's a good thing, definitely. But I mean, it's fair to say, because we have all started somewhere, and obviously you had a good dog, and obviously you try to do your best. But you mentioned it so many times, and I must agree so much with you, because when I relate it also to my life, luck is so important.
Absolutely.
Because we showed many dogs in our life. I showed hundreds and hundreds of dogs, and I still think today there were some dogs who were deserving to win so much more, but they just didn't have luck.
Yeah.
And then some of the dogs, you know, who were maybe not the best in the world, but they had so much luck, you know, in every way.
Yeah.
So it's probably with everything in life.
Where it really becomes luck is with Gable that day across. Now, how lucky is this? The woman who was judging had no axe to grind, Afghans, because basically all she showed was blacks, right?
Yeah.
So basically, we were lucky getting her as a judge. Then the hound group judge was Anne Argyle, a hound specialist. Then the best in show judge was Bill Pinchers, a hound specialist.
Yeah.
Now there was 2 dogs in that group, in that best in show, that had been winning groups all year. And I'll tell you something really funny now. We'd won Spillers.
Beltran left. I don't know what happened, but probably nothing. Here, he joined again. The last photo that you sent me are the. Okay, are we? Can somebody write? Beltran is saying to me that he had some problems with the connection. Can you tell me if you can still see us and hear us, or you can't, or you lost us? Let's see what people will say. But I would say that still everything is okay. People write. Okay, can somebody just write? They write signal keeps dropping. Can hear you now. Yes, so it's okay, Beltran. It should be fine. Okay. Anyhow, yeah. Okay, they say it's back again. Beltran there is a big storm in Spain, so he had a little bit problems with the. Andrew says the last thing they heard was Bill Pinches was best in show judge at Crafts. Okay, so more or less they heard everything. Okay, and then the last photo that you sent us, as I said, are these 2 covers for these 2 songs. You to Me Are Everything and Can't Get By Without You. One is from May 1976, another one is from August 1976. So you are the only one to blame for putting the years there. Don't blame me anymore about mentioning the years. So that's the last photo that you sent, and tell us. Well, I know why it's important, but I want to hear it from you.
Well, that is when we, the best year of our lives, really. I mean, that was it. You to Me and Can't Get By, both in the same year. One was number 1 and one was number 2. And it was the best, that was the best year of our life. Yeah.
But it is, I keep on coming to your success in music because obviously it is something extremely interesting for us. And we don't normally talk to that kind of people. This 1976, like you are young, you are like, how did your life look like? Like,
fun.
What kind of fun?
Pure fun. Pure, unadulterated fun.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay. There are 3 more questions for you. We were talking already for 1 hour 45 minutes. There are more than 150 comments that I hope that one day when you watch it again, you can read all of them because people were writing really nice things, but obviously I didn't have time to read all of them. I want to ask you first, if you would need to give an advice to somebody young who wants to become successful in dogs, doesn't matter as a breeder or a handler or a judge, what advice would you give to that person?
Decide on what breed that you really feel that you like and what suits you, first of all. Go to the shows and see the dogs and talk to people. Make acquaintances and then get yourself something, a really nice specimen that you can work with. Learn your craft before you start trying to breed anything. Get to know whether you can enjoy it or whether you're not going to enjoy it. If you find that you're in it for the long haul, talk to the breeder where you got your dog and talk to them first about breeding. And don't settle for mediocrity and blaming everybody else because you're not winning. You know,
that's a great advice.
The only reason you don't win 9 times out of 10 is because your dog isn't as good as the one that won. It's that simple. It's that simple. Whether you like to hit or not. 9 times out of 10, that's the reason you're not winning. So if you're in it for the long haul, get yourself something that you stand a good chance with.
Yeah, that's a great advice. And I mean, that's, you know, there is always something what I like to remember from different interviews. And this is so much truth what you said. You know, people need to understand that producing the stories in their head about the reasons why they lost are just stupid, you know, because as you said, 9 out of 10 times you lost because just there was another dog which was better than yours, and you need to accept it, you know, and all you can do is, you know, to get a better dog and to train your dog better, and that's it. Yeah, absolutely. Now, before I ask the last question about dogs, let me just ask you something about your plans with music. There are obviously exciting times ahead of you, because you said you used your pandemic times at home really wisely. So tell me what is happening in that part of your life in the near future.
Okay, well, we've got, let's see. This is coming out soon.
Okay, wonderful.
Now that is a box set of 7 CDs with every single track that The Real Thing have ever recorded on. And it's the first time it's been done. There's 109 tracks on it. So that's coming out.
Amazing.
About out. Right? We're promoting that one. So get your money out your pockets. Right. Okay. Now. Go out tomorrow and buy that.
What is the name? The Real Thing. It's written. Okay.
Yeah. Now that's already been to number 2 in the charts, but we want to get it there again. Yeah.
Okay.
So that one.
Wonderful.
And we're going to be going around all the showcase cinemas. Can you see that, Ant?
Yes.
We're going to be going around all the showcase cinemas, hopefully, because we should have been doing that before lockdown. But we're going to be going around them all, doing questions and answers. Amazing. So what they do is they'll play the film, and then we will do a question and answer after the film.
That should be fun.
Yeah,
that should be fun.
So we're doing that. We're also we've finished our new album. That should be coming out within the next couple of months, as soon as we've done all the artwork on it. And we're touring at the moment. And we've got our homecoming to Liverpool on Friday, which is going to be a great concert for us. So there's a lot of things happening on the horizon. Not forgetting our dogs, of course. But on the music front, there's a lot happening. We're very, very, very busy.
That's great.
Long may it continue.
Yeah. Let's hope for the best. Let's hope that these crazy pandemic times are they're obviously not behind us, but the things I think are slowly getting better, and I hope that now all this can come really normal back. And it looks like there are really exciting times ahead of you. So I'm jealous a little bit in a way, but okay. Tell me, Chris, my last question, and it's about dogs, obviously. The dog world itself, not only in the UK, but especially in the UK, is already for some time under the attack of all kinds of animal activist groups and all these things. There are coming different laws in different countries, and most of them are actually against purebred dogs, against breeding, against dog shows. How do you see the future of the sport? What do you think will happen in the years to come? And in general, what do you think it should be done to save the sport?
It frightens me because these people have got a powerful voice. And unless you've got people at the top who really know how to handle all this adverse publicity that's coming, well, then I really do fear for it. And I find that a lot of the people now, they don't want purebred dogs. They're going for a lot of these designer dogs, and that's another very worrying thing. So, to be honest with you, and I honestly don't know. I don't know if the Kennel Club should start maybe embracing some of these breeds before it's forced on them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not.
And what
Realistically,
yeah.
I'm not that up on it all. But I am frightened. I am frightened, and the Kennel Club do really need to get on top of it, and they need to get people who understand how to use the media.
This is what I wanted to ask you, because you know how powerful actually the PR is, and how much, one thing can be, it can go in this direction or that direction just with a good PR or with a PR or a bad PR. Is that something that we should be more careful with?
I think something we've got to get a handle on. They've got to get people in who understand what's going on around them. There's a very powerful force of people who don't like dogs shows.
Yeah.
For some reason. I know what the reason is. The reason is that the publicity that is coming out against dogs is a lot more powerful than the message that we're trying to give out. So basically, what we've got to do is we've got to get people really who are on the button, who know how to handle this PR and put it in a positive light.
Yeah, it is what many of my guests said, and I can agree mostly with that, is that unfortunately we are quite closed society, and because of all these attacks, we are closing even more. And what we should probably do is to open more, and to show to the people, how the things are done and so on. But yeah, at the moment it's not working really well. But let's hope these things will change. Anyhow, Chris, first of all, huge thank you for accepting my invitation, and of course, huge thank you to Andrew, who has helped me to get in touch with you. I have tremendously enjoyed these 2 hours. And much more after I have seen this documentary about your life and your success, which is just amazing, and I really hope people are going to see it. I wish you best of luck, first of all, in the music part of your life with all the exciting things that are coming, but then also best of luck with the dogs, because obviously you have some nice dogs to show, and that makes you happy, and I hope the success will continue. There has been all the time a lot of people watching from all around the world. They left already now over 190 comments. I hope one day you can look it and see. I can just read few of them. Let me see. People are saying, can't wait for the new album. Wise words from a well-established breeder exhibitor. Of course, Andrew is saying to everybody that he is going to see you at the Liverpool Philharmonic on Friday, so making all the people jealous. So let me see. People are saying, I need to go shopping. I need to buy the new CDs and everything. So that sounds interesting. Karen is saying, great interview. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing on tour next year. Bruce is saying, lovely interview. Thank you. Carol Ann is saying, thank you so much for a wonderful evening. Very interesting. Always loved you and your music. Best wishes for the future. Kirsty is saying, we need people like Chris Amoo, Gavin Robertson, and strong speakers to stand up for pedigree dogs. These are the people to use media to improve the PR of pedigree dogs. Anna Sabo is saying, very wise words, Chris. Couldn't agree more. Watching you from on board my flight to Budapest. Ali Smith is saying, thank you both. Enjoyed this so much. BD is saying, great and informative talk with Chris. What a lovely evening, Ante. Thank you so much. Nina is saying, so many wise words. Huge thanks and appreciation, Chris. And Ante, thank you for giving us this opportunity, and many other comments. So people have really enjoyed it. I have really enjoyed it. Once again, thank you. And I leave the last words of tonight to you, Chris, to say to all the people who are watching the interview, tonight you can say whatever you want to say to them after this very, very enjoyable 2 hours.
Thank you. It's been a real buzz, and I've really enjoyed talking to you. It's been great, and thanks for having me on. It's been great.
Okay, thanks a lot, Chris, once again. I will see all of you next Wednesday at the same time and at the same place. I'm really, really, really working hard to get somebody from the organizational committee of the World Dog Show to talk to us 1 week before the World Dog Show, which will hopefully happen in 2 weeks in the Czech Republic. I hope I will succeed. If I don't succeed, there will be another guest. Anyhow, I will inform you about that. Thank you all for watching, and good night to everybody. And thanks again, Chris. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Dai maestri della nutrizione, Mange Natural Super Premium. Crocchette con la carne come primo ingrediente e prebiotici per il benessere intestinale. Ricette con superfood e carne fresca per un'altissima appetibilità. Mange, la famiglia italiana del pet food. Dai maestri della nutrizione, Mange Natural Super Premium. Crocchette con la carne come primo ingrediente e prebiotici per il benessere intestinale. Ricette con superfood e carne fresca per un'altissima appetibilità. Mange, la famiglia italiana del pet food.